Hello, beautiful souls. I am Awakened Soul, and today we're going to look at Bitcoin and its potential next movement. But before we start, I do want to mention, as you can see right here, there's plenty of Bitcoin charts. Which one do you use? My advice is to use the one that is correlated to the exchange that you're trading on. Like if you're trading on Bybit, use the Bybit chart, right? But the most accurate that I have seen based on price action and the history is the Bitcoin US dollar index. Look at the history here. So it has really, really good history. This chart goes back to 2009. So I just found that out. So just throwing it out there for anyone that wants to use the most accurate chart. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start in our weekly time frames, placing support and resistance. We're going to use our pivot highs and lows indicator. I set it at 5, and this just helps me visualize where the support and resistance is. So we're going to, this is, turn on the magnet here. This is our high, and we're going to use orange for our weekly. This is our low. Perfect. Go down to the daily. Within the daily, you're going to place support and resistance just around price action. Don't worry about what happened last year. So this is your resistance. We're going to change it to yellow. And this is your support. Okay. And within this price action, within the daily, you're going to set some daily trend lines. And again, you're going to focus on the price action area. I like to use my pivot highs and lows indicators, and I do overlap two of them. It's the higher high, lower low indicator. One is set to 9 and one is set to 30. And this just helps me and guides me to place my trend lines on the daily. So from this previous high, we're going to go to the most current high. And again, we're just trying to focus on where price action is right now. So I'm going to go from this low to the higher low. I also want a daily trend line here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, sometimes like where should you place your trend line? Just basic trend line there. What I'm going to try to do is get it to my previous low. So this is the lowest candle because it's still working with this candle today. That candle has not closed. And another secret or another guidance advice is going here to your tool really quick and setting your countdown to bar close. Check it, and you're able to see, okay, there's 5 hours left for this daily candle to close. Really great indicator. So now that I have my support, my resistance, my trend lines within the daily, I want to find my targets. So if it breaks to the upside and it breaks this daily trend line, we're gonna set a target here. How do I find my target? It's called a Joe target, just how I call it. So 1 touch, 2 touch, and then in between you look at the lowest price, and then just, this is the lowest peak, lowest point. Sorry. And this will be my target. I hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and highlight it, because by the time we're done, we're going to have a techno party of trend lines here. So that's why it's important to kind of color coordinate them and whatnot. So even though the trend line broke to the downside, we're still holding support here, so nothing is confirmed. But if it was to break down to the bottom, let me show you. I will be looking at the highest wick. So the highest wick is this one, correct? So just go down here, and this would be my target. And the target is placed on the trend line based on the highest wick. Come down, and here it is. And go ahead and highlight that. Just gonna move it to the side. Daily targets take months, weeks to play out, but this is definitely the setup for a daily target, and some people like that. So now that I'm here, I'm gonna open my VRVP, and I do use two. I use the regular one. Let me show you, just a regular VRVP, and then I also use the volume profile by DGT, and it just gives me a good confluence of our point of control where the possible price could return to. So let's go ahead and mark it. So it's down here. We're gonna use purple for our points of controls. Okay, let's take off our indicators. Perfect, and that will be my daily setup. But we are trading. We're not waiting months for a trade, right? Let's go to our 4 hours. 4 hours is critical for me. So before we do our setup within the 4 hours, I really want to go over the structure of the market, and it's important for you to understand when you come into a chart, you understand that you're in a contraction phase, in a consolidation phase. All charts are a cycle that repeats. So really quick, right? You have a consolidation here, then you're going to have a trend, you're going to have a consolidation, next thing you're going to have a trend, either up or down. But that's how the markets work. And if you zoom into previous price action, you're able to see that, right? You have consolidation, you have a trend down, you have a new consolidation, trend up, little, consolidations here, then it moves up, consolidation, moves up, consolidation. And it's important to understand the structure of the charts, because within every consolidation area there's a pattern. Either you're going to find a bull flag, a bear flag, a Wyckoff pattern, a falling wedge, rising wedge. So now that we're in our 4 hours, we're just going to be focusing on this contraction phase. Okay, so within the 4 hours, again, I'm going to use my higher high, lower low indicators. And again, this is going to just guide me and help me place my trend lines. So we're going to go from high to higher high. We're going to change the color to green. 4 hours is going to be green. And then from higher low to most current higher, well, technically this is a higher low, yeah. So right there, it looks like a megaphone, right? It's just something to consider. You could Google the pattern and see, because sometimes, just connecting two trend lines will show you a diamond, a pattern, and you're able to see the next move. Okay, so now that we have our trend lines in the 4 hour, we are going to go ahead and turn on the EMAs. I like to use the 12 and the 26. Okay, we're only going to concentrate on price action connecting 4 hour trend lines. So 1 point, 2 point, right? 1 point, 2 points here. It's 4 hour trend lines. It's 4 hour trend line. So everything is, I chart with the flow, like I mentioned, right? So it's important for you to see something really quick. I was like, I'm not gonna do it, but I just think it's so important to understand like the flow of the charts. Just really quick, I'm gonna show you. So an example, right? We went up, we broke a 4 hour trend line, we came down, then we broke the 4 hour trend line back up, and then we broke another trend line to the bottom and we came down, and now we're going up and down. So, and that's just the flow of the market. So understanding where you're at in the flow of the market is critical for your next trade. That's why yeah, it's worth it for me to spend the extra minute here to show you that. So once you get comfortable, you'll see, okay, so this was an uptrend, right? And this right here, this was an uptrend, and now this was the downtrend, and then we have this uptrend here, right? And then it fell and it came back down. Now it's just playing with our emotions here. but that's how it works. Okay, so now that I'm here in the 4 hour, I am going to go back to my weekly, and let me show you why. I want to play the range. I want to be able to play the range. So within the way I find my ranges is I go to my weekly and I look at the previous candle and I mark the highs and lows on my previous candle. This was my low. Change color to, let's do blue. Right, so that's my weekly low from the previous candle. This is my, where's the wick here? There's so many trend lines. I'm hoping that's it. That's my weekly high of previous candle. Go to the daily. Just look at the previous candle here. Mark the high of the previous candle. And the low of the previous candle. I'm just hoping that is the candle. Let me delete this really quick. Yes, okay. Sometimes with your trend lines it gets a little confusing. I'm going to change this color so I just don't get confused my daily previous range. I'm going to go just a darker blue. Okay, and now back to the 4 hour. So now that you're in your 4 hour, you can see your range. You have your weekly range and you have your daily range, right? And now we're consolidating within this daily range. Okay, so let's take some targets. So just based on this price action, what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this trend line because I play what the charts show me right now. So I have my 4 hour support and my 4 hour resistance. Okay. I'm going to come down to the 30-minute here. Once I'm in my 30 minutes, I am going to put some some trend lines. And I do trade off my 30 minutes using the higher high and lower low. Okay, so remember, based on our 4 hour trend lines, we went up and now we're down. So our 4 hour trend line should be our major flow. So if the 4 hour is coming down, it's the smartest thing to do is to take shorts. If the 4 hour trend is up, the smartest thing to do is to take longs. How do you determine if it's bullish or bearish, the trend? So if price action is above my 12 EMA, I don't consider shorts. If my price action is below my 12 EMA on the 4 hour, I don't consider longs. I hope that made sense. Back to the 30 minutes. We're here. So I like to play highs and lows. So just looking at it, right? Let's see. Trend line. So we went up. We went down. We had the Fed talking madness, but we were up. And then we came down. So we're in a 30-minute downtrend right now. We have created this was a higher low. Let me change the color here. Back, no, sorry, I'm particular with my colors because they don't make sense. And this is our higher low here. So I'm looking for entry right now, correct? So let's get my 30-minute trend line nice and tight here. Right, we have our support here. Let's move into the 15 minutes. So right here, we're definitely creating new lower highs, lower high, and we just created a new lower high. I would probably feel comfortable taking a short here and setting my stop loss at previous lower highs. We are in a 4 hour downtrend. We are in the 30-minute downtrend, remember? Right? So the best thing to do is consider shorts. Where would be my target? Okay, my target, you could scalp it to the bottom as like a double bottom, or you could go back to your 4 hour. and pull some target based on your trend lines. Let me show you how to do that. So let's say we were to break up and we would break this 4-hour trend line. Let me highlight it. If we were to break this 4-hour trend line, remember you go down to the lower point and then just go up and mark that 4-hour target. And this would be my 4-hour target. If we were to break this resistance trend line, sorry, support trend line, okay, what is it? This is our highest peak, right? So go down, and our target would be on the weekly support. Okay, so one thing at a time. I know it's a lot, but I hope you learned something new. And remember, the only way to do it is for you to be consistent, for you to come into the charts every day and mark your trend lines. And the beautiful thing about trading with the flow is that you trade whenever you want, right? You live your life, you do what you need to do for your family, and you come into the charts anytime you want, and you're able to just trade whenever you feel like it. And I hope that helped. So that's the end of like my next trade setup, and I hope it works for you. And I'm going to continue now and just give you my perspective on what do I think it's going to happen. Okay, so what I think it's going to happen, I'm going to use a new chart here. Erase everything. Get my indicators because I go with the flow and I've been noticing this pattern. So for me to consider it's all about our support and resistance, first of all, within the daily. Okay, if we cross this support, we're going to the moon. I'm just playing, we're not going to the moon, but we're going high levels. If we break this resistance, we're coming down. As simple as that. Mark those trend lines, set alarms, and what would be my targets? Pulling a fib from the bottom to the top, minimum of 50% retracement. Minimum of 50% retracement. Okay, I have and if we go to the upside, first target would be my double top here and my weekly, right? If we cross this weekly, this is what I'm expecting. So if we cross this weekly, I think we're gonna be officially in a bull market. I would want it to cross the weekly, back test, and then continue to the upside, right? That's what I'm thinking for a bull market. But till we cross the 15,371, we're officially still not in a bull market. That is my confirmation for me to take action, be like, all right, all in. Okay, so that's that. And just really quick pattern that I have noticed, and I do post my charts on Twitter, and if you're not following me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me, awakensoul_369, and I post a lot of my charts, updates, my thoughts. So yeah, I think that's cool. So this is what I've been thinking. This has been a megaphone. Okay, a megaphone. How do megaphones play? Google it. Right? But literally, that's what I think it's gonna happen. Me, my intuition, what I see, what I feel. But again, my feelings, the market don't care about my feelings. So, but that's what I think it's gonna happen. Especially with what's going on in the world. But again, that's just my feelings, and may the force be with you. Remember to do everything with love, and thank you.